I mentioned the themes that keep coming back in my stories, and I want to say something that is essential for me. Once a journalist asked me in an interview what I feared the most, and I replied without hesitation, power with impunity. This is why I wrote Island Beneath the Sea, a story of absolute power, the power of the master over the slave. I fear those who have power to abuse, violate the law, lie, manipulate, practice corruption, even torture and kill with no accountability. I know what I'm talking about. I have experienced it, and I can recognize the signs. It happened on a memorable day, September 11th, 1973 in Chile. On that day, we had a military coup that ended a century and a half of democracy in my country. On that Tuesday, September 11th, the power of an illegitimate government with total impunity began and lasted for 17 long years. It wounded the society so deeply that the scars are visible 40 years later. Abuse of power and the power to abuse is always present in every society, and given the opportunity, it takes over. It has happened even in the most civilized nations, the Nazis in Germany, the fascists in Italy and Spain, the communists in Russia, and so forth. It can happen anywhere. This kind of power takes over all branches of government, including the fourth branch, the press. It has an excuse, of course. It is protecting the homeland. It is protecting you, the citizens, from a terrible enemy, your own fear. This kind of power only works with fear. Fear paralyzes and isolates people so they become easy to control. Power with impunity is clever. It chips away your rights one by one, and soon you have lost a way of life that before you took for granted. In Chile, the military terrorized the population with the excuse of protecting it from the threat of communism. The military were defending the Christian Western culture, as they called it. In the name of national security, people were arrested indefinitely, and they had no right to defend themselves. Torture became a common practice. Prisoners were killed in captivity, and their bodies were destroyed. They were called desaparecidos. Legally, they were not dead. They had never existed. Lucia, the Chilean journalist in my book In the Midst of Winter, has a disappeared brother. Their mother will spend 35 years looking for him. Abusive power defines reality, and no one dares to question it. It decides who the enemy is and what the rules are. The rules change all the time to fit the interests of those in power. First, the enemy is a foreigner. In Chile, the enemies were Cubans and Russians. Then the enemy is within the country. It can be hiding anywhere. And finally, total paranoia takes over. Those who are not with me are against me. So, ladies and gentlemen, beware of power without accountability.